They have finally announced a new DLC for AoE 4, releasing on November 4th. With it, we will be getting 4 new variant civilizations. Let's start breaking down what we know about each of them. We are now looking at the very first image that they gave us from the Golden Horde, and by the looks of it, this is going to be a civilization that no longer moves their buildings by the looks of it. They're saying here to solidify the control of conquered lands. That makes me think that maybe their buildings don't move, or maybe that's just some way of saying things. But anyways, it seems that they're going to have new outposts. So we're looking at, this is probably an outpost, so this will probably replace the regular tower that they have. It seems to be a little bit bigger than the regular tower. And it might be a little bit stronger than the regular tower, but maybe their cost is going to be a little bit more. So, looks like this. And now they're also going to give us a new economic building that I assume is going to replace the pasture. And it seems to have 4 villagers inside, and I wonder if these villagers are garrisoned in this building or not, or maybe you're just going to click inside and kill this sheep. And I also wonder if this is going to produce sheep automatically as well as the pasture does. So yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting. For now, I know regular pastures support like 2.5 villagers worth of gathering resources, and this is going to support 4. But yeah, it seems like they're going to be garrisoned instead of just clicked on top. Not sure about that. It also seems like we still have the Uvu, so that is not going away from the variant civilization of the Mongols. So yeah, now we're looking at the first unique unit that we have from the Golden Horde. This is probably going to replace the regular Khan. The regular Khan from the Mongols is a Mangudai unit, right? With a few abilities. And this one is going to be a heavy melee cavalry unit. So this is going to be more like a knight. I wonder how this is going to work in Feudal Age. I don't think you will get it straight in Dark Age, sorry. I don't think you will get it as soon as Dark Age, like we do with the Khan, with the regular Khan. I think this guy is probably going to come out in Feudal Age, because I don't know if having a knight in Dark Age is going to be balanced. So this one probably comes out of the Golden Tent, which is another new building that we're going to have. It is back here. And I wonder if the Golden Tent is going to be a landmark, or maybe it's going to be the TC. Because it says that the Golden Tent is like the focal point of the civilization, so maybe this is going to be the TC, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting how this can works. It also says that it's going to have war cries, so probably this is going to have different abilities than the regular Khan, and instead of the regular ones that we already have, it's going to have war cries to increase the strength of nearby units. So that's going to be pretty cool to play with. Next we have another unique unit, the Torgud. This is probably going to replace the Keshik, but I am not so sure, because it also says that they're going to be dispatched from the Golden Tent. So maybe these are going to be just something additional to the Keshik, but it is also a melee cavalry, and by the looks of it, if we see, it seems to be heavy melee cavalry. So it could be another knight that you will have available. Much like Lancaster has demi-lancers and knights, maybe they will have this additional from the Keshik as well. These new units also, it seems to absorb the damage from the Khan to themselves, which is pretty interesting. I'm not sure how important that is going to be, because it just seems like if you hit the Khan there, then you might be able to kill these units pretty effectively. So let's say you have a ball of 20 crossbows and then you hit the Khan once. Will all of these units just absorb the damage and die that way? That's going to be pretty fun to see. It also depends on how much percentage do they absorb, right? So now we have the Karash, which is an inexpensive light melee unit. It seems to be... at first I thought this was going to be like a spearman, but they seem to be carrying axes and shields, so maybe these are just going to be an additional unique unit that they have. Much like Malians have the much like Malians have the Musofadi warriors, it seems like they are going to be able to buff up nearby enemy units, so sorry, nearby allied units, but they're probably going to be pretty weak. So maybe targeting these in a fight is going to be the correct way to go. But I wonder if how well they fare in battle, right? And I wonder also if their buffs stack on top of each other. So maybe if you have one, then you get a little buff, but if you have 20 of them, then you are going to get a pretty big buff. It's going to be pretty interesting to see. Now we have the Beachhead Ram, which is a ram that comes out of the Siege Workshop. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to build this on the field. By the looks of it, you garrison people inside, and then the rams are going to shoot out of the slits. So if you are able to build this on the field in Feudal Age, this is going to be pretty strong, because then if you garrison spearmen inside, are spearmen going to be able to shoot as well? Or only if you garrison archers? So let's say you go for a ram push and you garrison spearmen inside, and if the enemy has horsemen, then you just ungarrison the spearmen and kill the horsemen. If the enemy has spearmen, then you just shoot them down from inside with the arrow slits. So yeah, these are probably going to be pretty annoying to deal with. And I already can see like siege rams killing villagers as well that are trying to repair the buildings, right? So if you go onto a tower and build into a gold vein, build a siege ram to break the defending towers, and then garrison people inside, villagers are probably going to have a very hard time repairing those towers, because you're going to be able to shoot them from inside. So this is a pretty good addition to the Golden Horde. Now it seems like outposts and defensive, well actually only outposts, are going to have an activation ability, which is the Golden Charge, and it seems like it's going to affect every single unit. So this seems already to be a little bit more of a defensive civilization than the regular Mongols, because they are going to have better outposts, and outposts that decrease the damage taken for all your units. And I'm willing to bet that is also going to maybe inspire or affect villagers as well, although they do say that reducing incoming damage as they charge into battle, so maybe it only affects knights when they charge, not sure. But I can already see these things being built on top of a siege. So let's say you're sieging an opponent, then you can just build one of these towers on the front of the siege, and you can buff up your units with this activation ability as they charge into the final battle or something like that. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Now we also have a new technology which allows gold to be generated from these things here, which are called stockyards. So more passive gold is coming into the game. I wonder how balanced this is going to be, because these are probably the farms of the Golden Horde, right? So it sounds like it's going to be much like the English farms that generate gold. So in this case, in the Golden Horde, it's going to be the stockyard that generate gold. So you will have passive stone from the Uvus and passive gold from the food. So the economy already sounds a little bit better than the regular Mongols. I hope that this technology is an Imperial Age technology, much like the Lancaster passive gold is and the English passive gold is. So yeah, I'm willing to bet that is an Imperial Age economy. And also we see in this image we see the Falcon here. So probably the Golden Can also has this ability, which is going to be great. Now they're telling us that start from the H1 that we are going to be able to construct the Golden Tent. So now that I look at it, it probably means that this is going to be much like a House of Wisdom from the Abbasids and the Ayyubids. So you construct it in the Dark Age, probably costs nothing or close to nothing. And from there, you will be able to produce the can, the Golden Can. And much like the pastures, these stockyards are also going to be able to be produced from the Dark Age. So yeah, that's going to be the main food source for this civilization. So now they're telling us that in the Second Age, you have the Torgut, which is the unit that we saw before. Where are they? I think these are, or maybe I'm not looking at them in this image, but we already saw them before. And they're telling us that we will have the ability to construct more than one uvu. That is how I'm reading this here. So we will have even more stone generated, and we will also have new technologies from the uvu. So I wonder if we're going to have exactly the same technologies as we already have from the regular Mongols, or we are going to have different technologies from the uvu. And now here we see how all of the Golden Horde units are like buffed up, so probably because the cannon is somewhere around here. And we also see, are these a horsemen? The horsemen look pretty incredible. I wonder if they are unique horsemen or that's just how this style looks, but they're looking pretty good. So from the Castle Age, they're saying that we can research edicts. I wonder what those are, but it seems to be like a single thing that you can research in the Castle Age, and then it gives you some kind of bonus. So in this case, it is telling us that the Carriage Edict will make it so military buildings produce carriages, not sure how to pronounce that, automatically from any military building within the influence. So you build buildings within the tower, and the tower probably has an influence of 1 tile range, so all of these buildings are within that influence, and whenever you produce units from them, the carriages pop out as well. So these guys that are here with the axes. So it seems like the unit production of these Golden Horde is going to be crazy, just from this alone. And now in the Imperial Age, it seems like the double production is going to be a lot more inexpensive, so the Horde is going to expand even more quickly. So the unit production from this civilization, from what I'm looking at, is going to be extremely crazy. And now we see here that we have the 2 uvus right next to each other, so it's confirmed from this. We're going to be able to build more than 1 uvu. So the stone production from this civilization is going to be insane, and I have no doubt that there's going to be builds where you just expand, you just build a secret uvu in the middle, in a corner or something like that, and people are not going to be able to find it until it's too late. So yeah, this is going to be, it seems like the economy from this Golden Horde is going to be much more powerful than the regular Mongol civilization. Now we move on to the Macedonian Dynasty, and these guys, they look awesome to me. It seems like they're not going to have olive oil, much like the Byzantines do. That is pretty much confirmed, or at least I think it is confirmed from these farms back here, because these are not olive groves, these are regular farms. So instead of olive oil, they're going to have silver, and it seems they're going to get it from mining gold. They're also going to get a new building, which is the Varangian War Camp. I think this is it, and it seems like they're going to be able to produce a lot of Varangian units from it, using silver to purchase them. So maybe Varangian warriors that we already see, and they will have other Varangian units that we will see later. But these are probably going to be purchased with silver, and there might be other technologies that will be available to them that cost silver as well, by the looks of what they're telling us here. Now, the first unique unit is the Adgir Mather. Not sure how you pronounce that. Hopefully someone is going to be able to do that better than me. But it seems to be a replacement for the Spearmen. They seem to have a passive ability, a berserk ability. Makes them be a little bit stronger when fighting alongside other Varangian units. So if you have Varangian guards mixed in with these guys, they're going to be more powerful. This is already telling me that this civilization is going to be infantry heavy. And if you mix in Varangian guards with spearmen, that's already a pretty good front line to have, because if you know, in the game, when you are going up against archers and crossbows, or maybe a big ball of archers or a big ball of crossbows, if you mix in spearmen and men-at-arms, it is very hard for the opponent to target fire the correct unit that they counter, right? So if they have archers, targeting spearmen along a big ball of men-at-arms is pretty difficult. So whenever you mix in spearmen and men-at-arms, that's a very good front line to have. And it seems like that composition for the Macedonian Dynasty is going to be even better. So that's going to be really good. Now we have the Bug Matter. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that correctly. it's going to be a unique archer. So it seems like this archer is going to have an ability that penetrates armored units. So imagine an archer in feudal age. I think this is well, if it's an archer, it's available from the feudal age, right? So imagine an archer that is able to counter early men-at-arms and early knights. So I can already see the civilization being a counter to French, to HRE, to English, just because of this unit here. But it seems like it is going to be an activation ability. By the looks of it, steadies their bow in the midst of battle and penetrate armor weak points. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a passive or activated ability. It seems to be an activation, but having archers that penetrate armored units in feudal age is going to be extremely good for countering those civilizations. Now we have the Ridari, and these are the knights. I wonder if they are going to replace the regular knight. I think they do, but these are just basically Varangian guards on horses, and they are going to have an axe throw ability. So I wonder if they're going to be able to throw this axe while they're moving, or maybe is it going to work like the Earl's Guard from the Lancaster civilization, where they, if you have a group of them and you move them into enemy units, the Earl's Guard actually stop for a second. They throw the dagger and they continue charging into the fray. So I wonder if they're going to stop or and throw the axe, or if they're going to throw the axe while they're moving. That's going to be pretty cool to see. This already I can see being good against maybe for raiding. So let's say you have a group of 3 knights that are raiding a Goldwyn, for example, and the Goldwyn has a tower in it. You can just you don't have to charge straight into the tower to kill a few villagers. You can just run by, throw the axes, much like you do with the Earl's Guard. Kill a few villagers that way and then just run away, go back when the axes recharge and do that again. And these are going to be really annoying to deal with, I think, because of the axe throw as raiding units. So yeah. And also, if you're in a knight to knight battle, instead of just charging into the knights as they normally do, you can just throw the axes and go back. So you can do cheap damage like that and maybe avoid getting charged. It also depends of how the range it is. It seems like this guy is throwing the axe from a really close position, so maybe the range is not as big as I'm thinking it to be. This guy already threw it from way over here. So yeah, we'll have to see how the range is. But I hope it is not as big as the Earl's Guard dagger throw, because if it is a big range, then it's going to be a really obnoxious knight to deal with as other civilizations. Now we have the runestones, which I think they pop out whenever units die, or maybe you have to construct them, I'm not sure. But it seems to be like a building that you have, and that it's going to buff up the units, right? Here we see the aura around the archers and around the spearmen being buffed up, but I wonder if they're going to be, if they just pop out whenever units die, or if you are going to build them manually. Now we are getting also a new technology, the Ronfaya Swords technology, and it seems like it's going to be something that increases the damage of the units. As we see here now, they're wielding, instead of axes, they're wielding like a really big sword. And it seems like the Varangian guards are also wielding it. So these are the regular Varangian guards, the men-at-arms, I think. But they're wielding swords, really big swords, as well as the knights here. So it seems like they're going to be able to deal a lot more damage than the regular cataphracts and Varangian guards from the Byzantines. So yeah. Now the Varangian arsenal, I think this is a blacksmith. This might be replacing the blacksmith, and it seems like we're going to have, like we saw before, new technologies that you would research with silver. So maybe the Ronfaya Swords technology is going to be something that you research from the new blacksmith, the Varangian arsenal. And now we see the villagers are actually getting silver from the gold vein. So if you see here, there are like little silver veins alongside the gold vein, and the mining camp also looks a little bit different. So I think it's going to work something like the olive gardens from the Byzantines, where you get 20% of the food as olive oil. So maybe you will get some percentage from the gold as silver as well. So That's probably how it's going to work. Now we are looking at the Varangian strongholds a little bit more closely, and they're telling us that this is going to replace the barracks. So we are going to have this available straight from the feudal age, and we straight from the dark age, sorry. And we are in feudal age. We're going to have the early Varangian guard, so we're going to have men at arms in the feudal age. That's going to be pretty interesting to play with, and it seems like this is going to be able to shoot as well by the looks of it. They're saying are capable of defending the area. So I wonder if that means that these barracks are going to be able to shoot arrows. If they are able to do that, I wonder if we're going to see like proxy barracks in the Dark Age from the Macedonian Dynasty. That's going to be pretty funny to see. And now they're also telling us that we're not going to be able to gather silver only from the gold veins, but also from the stone veins. So there's that. Now from the second age, we see the Varangian arsenal right next to the gold vein, and it seems like the only way to get silver is by constructing the arsenal right next to the mining camp. So that's how we are going to get silver. I think that's going to work similarly for stone veins as well. And now they are confirming that this is indeed a blacksmith and is indeed a university as well. That is going to be pretty cool, because now you're saving, I think, 350 wood in the Imperial Age, something like that, that costs the university, plus the building time. And I assume that you're going to have multiple of these, so if you go into the Imperial Age with multiple arsenals, and if you have a lot of gold, you're going to be able to research 2 university upgrades or more at the same time. So if you need, let's say, incendiary arrows and the infantry upgrade as soon as possible, and you have multiple of these, then you can research both at the same time. That's going to be pretty cool. Now, something else is the Varangian war camp, which I think is this little tent here, or this little camp here. And it seems like you're going to be able to recover units lost in battle. And they are also telling us that if it is placed near water, which I believe also works on hybrid maps, or maybe it can work on ponds as well, from land maps where there are little ponds. If it is placed near water, ships may also be selected as reinforcement. So let's say you have this right next to water, and then you can recruit maybe a galley or something like that. That's going to be pretty interesting. So it seems like, because this is available from the feudal age, it seems like this is going to be the Macedonian Dynasty. It might also be a pretty good water civilization, contrary to the regular Byzantine. So now in the castle age, we have the Ridari, which we already saw before. This is the knight. And they are telling us that we're going to be able to produce this guy from both the stables and the barracks, the Varangian strongholds, which are the barracks. That is pretty interesting. And the Varangian war camp is also going to be able to produce knights. So a lot of free units. So both the Golden Horde and the Macedonian Dynasty seem to be civilizations that produce a lot of free units. That's going to be pretty cool to play with. Now in the Imperial Age, they're telling us that the Palatine School is going to work a little bit different, and instead of giving you free units just by training, it is going to be a building where you can manually train cataphracts in bulk. So it's probably going to work like a regular mercenary house, where you trade olive oil for units, but instead you're going to trade silver to train cataphracts in bulk. Here are the cataphracts, I think. Yeah, these are the Imperial Age cataphracts. And I wonder if these cataphracts are going to be already upgraded to their Imperial version. If that is the case, that's going to be pretty amazing, pretty awesome, because that's just knights that you're going to be able to train using silver that are already upgraded. I wonder if that's how it's going to work. Maybe not, we'll see, but if that's the way it works, that's going to be pretty OP. Also, we'll have the Roman fire at the siege workshop, which will make our springles, I don't see any springles here, but will make our springles shoot explosive bolts. I believe that's going to work much like the Chirosiphons work right now, where if you target a building, they leave fire on the ground. And if enemy units are standing on that fire, they take damage over time. So I think that's probably how it's going to work. So they shoot a bolt, they explode, and they leave fire on the ground. And if units are standing there, it's going to deal damage over time to them. So I think that's going to be pretty amazing, because fire damage doesn't care about armor. So you can shoot fiery bolts like this against other units that are not infantry, and they're still going to take a lot of damage. So it's going to be pretty amazing. Now let's move on to the Sengoku Daimyo, which is the variant civilization to the Japanese. And by the looks of it, regular Japan economy works by having better economy from the berries and the farms, and these guys are going to have something called Matsuri, which will boost food income, but not from berries or farms, but from boar and deer, which is going to be a really interesting mix-up from the regular Japanese economy. And here we see a lot of new units. These are the horsemen. This guy, I think it's a new knight. These are the regular mounted samurai, but they do seem to be a little bit different. Look at the golden helmet that the horses have. That looks amazing. These are new units, and I think those replace the regular samurai. We'll see a little bit more about them later. We have the shinobi, or I'm not sure if those are shinobi. I don't remember if shinobi wielded staffs like that, but pretty interesting. And these guys are hand cannoneers by the looks of it, with shields, so that's going to be pretty amazing. Okay, so let's keep going. And they're also telling us that they're going to have daimyo states, which I think work like the Knights Templar A-shops, where you get where you unlock unique units by selecting one of them. So if you select a daimyo state, then you get unique units from it. So that's going to be pretty cool. Now these are the new men at arms from the daimyo, Sengoku Daimyo. Instead of having regular swords and deflective armor, they have a big stick, a big bunk that deals damage to enemies based on their maximum health. So these guys are going to be pretty good against tanky units, so maybe men-at-arms, knights, cataphracts. I wonder if they deal a lot more damage to elephants and also siege. That is going to be pretty cool. So siege has a lot of HP. Well, actually, when units deal damage to siege, they actually use torches instead of the regular attack. So maybe the percentage damage does not work on siege. But these guys are finally going to be able to deal with elephants, which have like 1000 HP. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool that to finally have a unit that deals damage based on the maximum health of units. Pretty cool. Now the Jatai, this is going to be a new worker unit. I wonder if you build this from the TC. So it's going to be much like the Imperial Officer, where it comes from the TC, but instead it generates food from animals, berries or fish. So I guess you just put it near deer, so you have deer back here, or boar, or fish, and they just passively generate resources for you. So this is going to be pretty cool, because this is a point of interest pretty much for the enemy. So you're going to have to defend this. This is already telling me that this is a civilization that is going to be really spawn dependent. If you have front deer, front boar, or front fish, or berries, or something like that, you are going to be at a pretty big disadvantage, because you will have to protect these worker units. But if you have back deer, imagine this on Hill and Dale, where you always have a back deer. I assume that this is going to be a pretty amazing civilization on those kind of maps, or Altai as well, where you have a guaranteed deer spawn behind your base. Now the daimyo. So I think the daimyo is going to be a building. So probably this building here with the Triforce flag going on here. And it seems that you will be able to recruit a unique knight, which is a unique heavy cavalry unit. And this guy is going to be able to increase the attack speed of nearby units, even when they fall. So it's going to be much like a bannerman, where if they fall, they still buff up the units. But instead of giving just damage, it's going to give attack speed. And I already think this is better than the bannerman, because it seems like it's going to be able to affect all units instead of just one kind of unit. So imagine this guy is in your army, and now spearmen, men-at-arms, archers, and cavalry are all going to have increased attack speed, Archers with attack speed is always a great thing to have because archers deal the most DPS in your army. So imagine crossbows with attack speed or archers with attack speed. It's going to be pretty awesome. Now the Iko monk. These are the ones that I thought were shinobis before. It's actually the monk. It's a warrior monk that deal damage and heal your units in an area. So we are going to have lifesteal from these guys. It seems like it's going to be pretty interesting to see, because imagine if you have like a bunch of these guys, like 10, 20 or 30, are you going to have like infinite healing from that? So it seems like archers are going to be a pretty good counter to these guys, because archers can kite, and if you don't get hit, then you can't lifesteal. But yeah, that's going to be pretty cool to play with. We also have the samurai bow, which is a new technology that equips your men at arms, your samurai, with bows. So now I thought these guys were going to replace the samurai, but actually no, you have samurai here. So it seems like it's going to be an ability much like the Earl's Guard dagger throw. So now we have two new units, the Varangian Knight, which throws an axe, and the samurai that shoot an arrow right before charging in. And I wonder if this is going to... I feel like this is going to be pretty cool against a spearman composition. So we have actually spearmen here. I think these are the Limitanae from the Varangian civilization. I wonder if these bows are going to deal extra damage to the spearmen without having archers. So that's going to be pretty amazing. Now also imagine like your raid with a group of samurai. Much like the Earl's Guards. Instead of diving TCs and towers, you just shoot villagers and then go away. That's going to be pretty funny to play with. Now we also have the Mounted Samurai Odachi, which I believe is a new technology. It is a new technology that you will be able to research from the Takeda Daimyo state. So that is one of the selections you have for Daimyo states, and it changes the weapon to an Odachi. So the Odachi is this weapon that is that we are being able to see here. It does more damage to infantry. So these knights are going to be pretty good against men-at-arms, which knights are already pretty good against men-at-arms. So these are I think these are men-at-arms they are fighting, and they're going to be pretty good against spearmen too, which is pretty interesting. And I think archers and crossbows are also classified as infantry. So imagine knights that deal bonus damage to archers and crossbows. So these knights are going to be pretty cool. It also depends on how much extra damage, right? So it depends. But I also know for a fact that these guys are not going to get the deflective armor that the regular mounted samurai have. So that is also something that we have to take into consideration when comparing that to the regular mounted samurai. Now, from the feudal age, the first bonus that we have is that we are going to be able to see deer and boar on the map. I don't think if that's going to be as useful as we think we are, but at least for denying prof scouts and getting prof scouts is going to be pretty cool. But the reason we are getting that at the Sengoku Daimyo is because we have the new economic bonus, which is gathering food from deer and boar without having to kill the deer or boar. So it seems it's going to work like this. So you start the game, and then you have to send the Jatai. The Jatai are these little traders, the ones we saw before that gather passively from food sources. And as they gather, they send back traders. So maybe like how pilgrims work, but in the opposite direction from. So it would be like from the Jatai back towards your base into the Matsuri. The Matsuri is just a word for festival, so I assume this is a Matsuri. It does look like a festival because we have like a drums and that kind of stuff there. And whenever the trader comes back, I believe this is the trader actually. So this is a trader that comes back from the Jatai, which is gathering resources out there in the deer and the boar. And this trader comes back to the Matsuri, and when it gets there, it raises the food gathering rate of all of these guys around the festival. That is a pretty interesting mechanic. So this is going to be much like a Knights Templar civilization, where you have to defend your pilgrims But instead of defending your pilgrims, you defend these little traders here, because if they don't get back home, then your villagers are not going to gather as much food as they should be gathering. Nice mechanic. I like seeing mechanics like this because it incentivizes different gameplay from just sitting in your base and building economy until the game ends. It incentivizes your opponents to go out on the map and denying these traders. So that is going to be a pretty fun thing to play with. Now from the feudal age, this is what I was talking about before. You will be able to build these daimyo states, and you will be able to choose one, maybe on each age, but it seems to be able to that you're going to be able to only choose one at a time, or maybe one on the whole game. Not sure about that, but you're going to be able to choose one of three: a ranged daimyo, a cavalry daimyo, or a melee infantry daimyo. And yeah, it says that you cannot support all clans at once, so it's just a choice that you'll have to make on each game. Much like the Knights Templar have to choose their landmarks, you will have to choose daimyo states, and each daimyo state gives you different things. So I think these are it. In this case, he does have two daimyo states, so it might be one per age, and maybe in Imperial you will have all three, but that's going to be pretty cool to figure out. Now here they're telling us that one of the daimyo states is going to be able to provide you with deflective armor. That is the passive ability that we already have with the regular Japanese civilization, and that is the daimyo state that supports melee infantry. And also they are telling us that if we fully support the Hojo clan with 3 daimyo states, so it seems like when we build daimyo state, which are the buildings we saw before, we're going to be able to choose one clan to support, and it seems like we can support one clan many times. So it says here that if we support the Hojo clan 3 times, so with 3 daimyo states, you can levi units at no cost. So another civilization, another new civilization that gets units for free. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Now finally we see that we are going to have the ability to recruit early Osutsu. Osutsu are the unit that the regular Japanese has in Imperial Age. The guys with the hand cannons that can destroy buildings pretty effectively. So we're going to have that early, probably in the Castle Age. Even though it says here in Age 4, I think it's going to be available from the Castle Age. We're going to have early hand cannoneer, which maybe are these guys here that are hiding behind shields. And actually now that I kept reading, they do have shields which protect them from range attacks and increase their attack range. So this is going to work much like the Pavis ability from the French crossbows, which does exactly the same. But now we have that with hand cannoneers. That is going to be pretty amazing because hand cannoneers with range are incredibly good. I wonder if you're going to be able to put these guys on top of a stone wall, activate their ability, and the stone wall also increases your range. So now you have hand cannoneers with 1000 range standing on a wall. Pretty interesting. Now finally, the last civilization that we have is the Tughlaq Dynasty, which is the variant of the Delhi. These, I think, are the guys that I will play the most because they seemed extremely cool. They do have a lot of focus on elephants, and they even have worker elephants that are going to work much like the push carts, the ox carts from the Age of Mythology, if you've played that, from the Norse civilization. So there are going to be elephants that are also resource drop-off points, and if you drop off from them, you're going to have more resources gathered. So that's going to be pretty cool. In contrast to the Delhi, which have free and slow research upgrade times, these guys are going to have almost instantaneous research upgrades, but they are going to be upgrades that cost more. So I don't know if I like that. I think it's going to be pretty cool to experiment with, but it really depends on how much more expensive they are. Because if you have like instantaneous wheelbarrow, for example, but wheelbarrow costs now 300 resources instead of I don't know how it costs normally. I think 200. I mean, I don't know if having if losing 100 extra resources is going to be worth it for an instantaneous upgrade. We'll have to play with that. It depends on how much more expensive the researches are. And it also seems that we're going to have castles in feudal age, much like the Knights Templar do, but these castles are going to have unique upgrades that affect economy, military, and religion. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what they come up with. Now we see the worker elephants. So as you see, they have all kinds of resources on the back. So these are going to be global resource points. So you can drop off berries, which they are working here, gold, or wood. So any kind of resource you can put into these worker elephants. And this is going to be amazing. This is going to be an amazing economy upgrade, because walk time is one of the reasons why most economies are so bad. So this makes me think that wheelbarrow for this civilization is not going to be as important, and maybe just from running away from raids. But if you just keep moving your worker elephant around, you're just going to have a good time. It also depends on how fast it moves. So for example, let's say you want to go for deer early, you can just do that without building a mill, because I think you already start off with one of these. I'm not sure. If you do start off with one of these, then go straight into deer at the start of the game if you find it early, or maybe just sneak in like a sneaky boar. So that's going to be pretty cool. Now we have the raider elephants. I guess these are the different versions, so the feudal, the castle, and the imperial age versions. And these are actually replacing the horsemen. So these are going to be raiding elephants that have a trample ability, much like the cataphracts from the Byzantines do. So imagine getting raided by 3 of these and just getting all your villagers trampled. That's going to be pretty funny. And I wonder if they also deal like bonus damage to buildings as well. And I doubt they are going to be moved as fast as horsemen. If they did, this would be really not realistic at all. But I assume that they're going to move a little bit slower than a knight, probably. So yeah, we'll have to see. Now, take a look at these guys. These are ballista elephants. I'm not sure if these guys existed in real life. I hope they did. I would like to see them someday. But they are just these are the replacement for Springolds. And as you see, they're hitting men at arms here, which are the units that Springold counters. These are going to be really good against melee infantry. I guess that these are not going to be as vulnerable to range damage as the regular Springolds are, because these are actually elephants. So yeah, these are going to be pretty interesting to play with. We'll see. I don't think these are maybe Springolds that are going to be countered by crossbows, but these already are looking pretty strong. Now we have the Tughlaq forts. I hope I pronounced that right. These are castles. I think these are replacing the regular castles. And these are going to be available from the feudal age. And these are just going to be forts with unique technologies. It seems like this fort is firing a missile. Or is that a cannon? I'm not sure. I wonder if that's going to work much like the Japanese fort, that it shoots a rocket. I'm not sure if that's just an explosive or just a regular cannon. We'll see. Now, it seems like from the fort we will be able to recruit governors. Governors will be able to, in turn, recruit these guys here, which are the Amir warriors. These guys are men-at-arms. I think they are a little bit weaker than men-at-arms. The reason I think that is because they consume no population space. This is pretty strong, because if they consume no population space, that means your army is always going to be bigger than the enemy army. And these are not... These don't seem to be weak units. They seem to be armored units. So at the very least, they're going to serve as a pretty tanky frontline. Even if they don't deal that much damage, they are going to be a pretty good frontline for the rest of your army. And it seems like they're also going to be stronger when they're near forts. As you see, they have the little aura that marks that they are buffed at the moment. And on the other side, we have the worker elephant, which it looks amazing. And we will see that this unit on the next We'll see this later, that it's going to be a pretty strong unit. Now, collateral damage technology. It seems to be like they add spikes to the tusks of the elephants, and I wonder if that's going to work for every elephant that we have available. I think this is going to work much like the technology that the Delhi already has at dealing AoE damage. I wonder if that's going to be it, but it seems like dealing catastrophic damage to anything caught in their way is going to... It does sound pretty powerful. Okay, so this is how the civilization is going to start. We have the worker elephant. I am still not sure if you start with the worker elephant or not, but take a look at this. We have brown sheep. I am not sure if that is going to be a bonus or not. Maybe you start with a few brown sheep that are going to be gathered faster or something like that. Not sure. But look at this. This is a nice advantage that we are going to have. This elephant is not a mining camp, which means that whenever we gathered enough gold to A-shop, these three guys that are here are going to drop off the gold, and then they can kill this sheep right here, and they don't have to walk all the way back to the TC to start gathering food. So we are going to be able to see nice micro things like that straight from the feudal age, straight from the dark age, sorry, with this worker elephant, because we're going to be able to not move at all with our villagers doing little micro strategies like this. So pretty amazing, pretty cool. Now from the feudal age, we see that we have the raider elephants. So these are the horsemen of the Tughlaq Dynasty. And they're saying that we are also going to be able to construct the forts from the feudal age. That is the other keep that I showed before, and from there we're going to start recruiting our governors. Each governor gives us unique technologies, and it seems like they are not restricted by age. So it appears that this is going to be a civilization that if you let them breathe, if you let them get strong, even from the feudal age, they're going to scale up to imperial age research upgrades. So it seems like this is a civilization that you will have to fight pretty early, much like Delhi, or at least try to get some advantage pretty early from them, because otherwise they're going to scale pretty insanely. From the Castle Age, you are going to be able to construct a mosque, and from the mosque, these are the guys that are going to be coming out. So healer elephants, which I wonder if they're going to be able to grab relics as well. I am not sure if they can, I don't think they can, but in any case, they are going to gain damage from every other unit around them, every other infantry unit around them. And as you know, currently, with the Delhi civilization, one of the better army compositions you can make is elephants plus archers. So that is already a pretty amazing composition to have. Now imagine elephants that attack, that heal, and that are buffed up by all your archers around them. That is going to be insane. And these elephants are, they have two imams on top of each other. So they're going to be able to heal each other, and they're going to be able to heal all the infantry units that you have around them. So this seems really strong, really strong. So we'll have to see how they balance the numbers, but I hope that we have some kind of a way to counter this. Now in the Imperial Age, it seems like we're going to have two different landmarks that interact with the governor system. The governor system is the thing that we already covered from the fort. You will be able to appoint governors from the fort. We can see here, these are the little guys that cost no population. And it seems like you're going to have a pretty big bunch of them. And one of the landmarks, the Palace of the Sultan, immediately grants us a bonus, which they don't tell us exactly what it is, but I think it just gives you another governor from the fort. And the Hisar Academy, which is the other Imperial Age landmark, will grant you resources over time based on how many governors you have. So I think that's going to be pretty strong, because having passive resources in the Imperial Age is pretty important, especially if it is gold and stone, because gold and stone runs out pretty quickly, and it's one of the resources that you need the most. So if it is gold and stone, it's going to be pretty strong. And by this time, remember that you have almost instantaneous research upgrades. So imagine getting to Imperial Age with these guys and immediately getting university upgrades. So it's going to be really strong timings attacks, I believe. And that also applies to all the other ages. So imagine you have a really big army and then you immediately upgrade that army as soon as you age up, and then you just destroy your opponent right afterwards. So that's going to be pretty interesting to work with. But yeah, that is all the information that we have currently. I think in some Reddit posts, some people have been discovering a few other things, but I, for one, I feel pretty excited for this DLC. I mean, it is only variant civs, but all the variant civs, from the looks of it, they look really different from their base civilizations. These are pretty much new civilizations with new mechanics and new ways to play. So I, for one, I am really excited about the Byzantines and the Delhi variant. These are the ones that I'm going to be playing a lot. So yeah, really excited about this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See you guys in the next one.